Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Pre-Market Info.
Monday morning after a long weekend. Hopefully, all the traders out there are bright eyed and rested up. I know the NCAA tournament was on there. Joel was pretty pumped over the weekend.
Yeah, and the market had a pretty typical window dressing, popping up at the high of the quarter and make everybody happy. And
That was
let's
so
hopefully it.
that was so predictable. It's just like it was a perfect story. We were even saying that on Thursday. It's like this whole perfect story set up. End of the quarter, markets at new all-time highs for the S&P. I mean, it was all just kind of the writing was on the wall that they were going to push it up like that. So very interesting that they were able to actually accomplish it too there, though, Joel. So what do you think? Do you think that they can keep it up here?
Think we just have one number to look at on the upside. 1464.50 was the high on Thursday, high of the recent move. We snuck up there overnight, so there's your level up on the upside. Coming on the downside, 1559 and a quarter is our low. We'll keep an eye on that. It takes that out. It's a little bit sketchy under that, but hopefully the market won't play an April Fool's on us and continue the rally.
Show the E-mini chart, the overnight chart, so everybody can see it there. What's happened
Okay.
here since they've been sleeping, and obviously out there eating their Easter eggs and everything all weekend. So you've obviously seen a little bit of a soft. We did have that low of 15.59 a quarter, and we have bounced back here just this morning. Last couple hours, we popped up 4 or 5 points. Bring up the CVX chart there from Thursday. I guess it's Thursday now. We were closed Friday for Good Friday, but you can see right at the end of the day. See the vicious sell-off? That is at the end of the day. There was a lot of imbalances that were really pushing stocks around. At the end of the quarter, the imbalances tend to be bigger, they tend to be real, and they tend to move the stocks around. And CVX had a huge sell imbalance, and you can see right at the end of the day, the stock lost almost $1 actually, closing very, very weak, right on the lows at 118.82. So a lot of times what you'll see is these moves, maybe not off the hop, but over the course of the day, try to retrace. Other things being equal, obviously if the market sells off 1%, that's going to put pressure on Chevron. But if the market was to stay flat, Chevron often does try to retrace some of these imbalanced moves.
Did you try and help out the specialists on that by
I
buying a little
did on
stock
Chevron. I was a little conservative here, though. The only one I did get off, I did get short SO. Bring up SO, you can show. Just keep it on the overnight chart, so because we're going to talk about the action from
Okay.
Thursday.
Before we move to the SO, though, this CVX did bring it down to support that 82 low. You have all of these lows here, so that holds in the morning. We'll get a little bit of bounce up, so we'll just keep an eye on that. SO chart.
Yeah, I just want to see Thursday's chart. I don't really care too much about the daily,
take a look at that.
although it's been a rocket ship. But you can see the SO actually looks like it's already, but it had the run the whole morning here, or the whole afternoon as well, running up right into a major resistance. I knew that 47 bucks is huge. There's actually a lot of sellers at the point, so I did put a short on that thing. Keep bouncing through them. Just keep it right on the Thursday charts. 'Cause I'm going to bounce through a whole bunch of these. SO.
Okay, go
Look
ahead.
at Exxon Mobil. Same thing. 60-cent move down in the last 20-25 minutes. You can see it was up at 90.75 and boom, tanked all the way down to 90. Johnson & Johnson got a little bit of a lift. J&J up a quarter, which is pretty big move for it. You don't see it that well on the chart, but it was around 81 a quarter, closed at 81.53. IBM had a big lift up. Bring up IBM in the last 15 minutes, bounced up another 60-70 cents. So all of these moves were all on imbalances. They're all order flow. They're not based on fundamentals. Basically, some institution wanted to have IBM on the books at the end of the quarter, so they, basically, or a few institutions maybe, big market on close orders, so closes right up near the highs. And like I said, often, so you have to be aware of that if you're a short-term trader, that there's often some pressure in these issues to give back a little bit of those moves. They don't always do it. It's still just a statistical edge. But at the same time, if IBM rallied 70 cents on an order flow imbalance, it will sometimes give some of that move back the next day.
Right, and so this is basically just portfolio managers just trying to get a good mark, or they want to show it in their portfolio at the end of the quarter, and they wait till the last day on a weekend holiday to.
Well, and the end of the quarter is when they're reporting. A lot of these are actually writing up their holdings to their customers, to the holders of their fund. So they want to show maybe certain stocks that are on the books. Like, interesting enough, check out Apple. Bring up the chart on Apple. It sold off all day, had a really weak day, broke through. But Apple, if you think about it, and you can see it started early, the selling, obviously closed near the lows. Apple closing down as low as 442.66. It's getting a bit of a bounce here right now, up 84 cents. But it's the same thing. Apple's had a very weak quarter overall. And a lot of people, maybe those fund managers want to say, look, I don't want to have Apple on the books. I don't want to say that I owned Apple when I had one of its weakest quarters, in a long time. And I can go off and say, well, we don't own Apple. So that's why I think you see pressure. And you see a lot of people selling it that day just so they don't have it in their holdings when they're reporting it to their investors. So sometimes what happens, just to finish my thought, sometimes what happens is these stocks are just being sold off just for that reason, and maybe they can actually retrace those moves that they had, just that was basically just institutional managers adjusting.
From a technical perspective on Apple, we talked about this a little bit last week. We had the move up from 419, just got over the the 460 level. Now now you're having a retracement. You're pulling back. Actually, we got up to 470. You had that 50-point move. You pulled back halfway. That halfway point is 445. Didn't even make it wince on Friday, but get a couple days of consolidation here. Hold the $14-40 level. I think this is the moment of truth for Apple, if it's going to go down and test these lows, or if this was just your second chance to get in on the long side.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a moment of truth. We don't want to see follow through from what I think was a little bit of basically window undressing in Apple on Thursday. I don't want to see follow through. I don't want to see it take out the lows. I want to see it hold up, and I want to see it start to do some type of rally today. Because if it starts to cut through 440, that's follow through selling pressure, and that's nothing to do with the window undressing, and that would make me very nervous. One chart that is making me nervous here, though, too, Joel, is Google. We talked about the 800 here needing to hold. It did not on Thursday. It took it out viciously, selling off as much as $6 here, closing near the lows of 794.19. I think it's bouncing back a little bit here, up $1.50 this morning. But really here, this is a chart that is not looking as pretty as it did
little
2 weeks ago.
Profit taking, huh?
Yeah, definitely some profit taking here, and then the whole psychological breaking of 800 is significant for this stock. I think it gets back up in the 8s. Now all of a sudden you have a lineup of people that's saying, well, 801, I'll take it. It's in the 800s. So that's the concern here, is that I think on the rallies you may find sellers. So from a swing trading perspective, not looking as good as it once did.
Right, and this thing, it kind of catapulted up to that 844 high, and then you just look at these, just these really small ranges for several days, trying to rally, try to get back up to the $820 level. You got to realize that all the institutions, a lot of people pop fine. It's over 800. It's going to 1,000. This is where over the last couple of weeks you've had a ton of upgrades in the stock, price targets to 10,000 or whatever. And now you're back under the $800 level. It's going to be 800 is going to be good resistance. It's going to be good, good psychological resistance. But coming up, you basically have 805.37 was Friday's high. I think it's going to be real rough sledding now in the $800 handle.
eBay is up here again today. Had a big day on Thursday, continuing here again this morning. Late Thursday, they did announce that earnings per share growth going to be 15 to 19%, helping to give it an overnight lift. And if you bring up the overnight chart here, Joel, just to show what's happened, or is that the? Oh yeah, you are showing it. Sorry, but you can see.
One step ahead of you, Dennis.
What's that?
One step ahead.
You're quick, Joel. You're quick over there. So actually, I think it was after hours that they were talking about the earnings per share growth 15-19. So you can see actually on Thursday night, if you look at the chart, the stock was already getting a 60-70 cent pop. Canaccord popping on the bandwagon here again this morning. It's upgrading the stock, so it's up here more in the pre-market. 55.70 is where it's trading right now after closing at 54.22. Huge move for eBay here. It's really come back nicely, basically since it just slipped under 50 a couple of weeks ago.
100,000 has traded so far. You did hit 55.94 here in the pre-market, so we'll keep an eye on that level. That coincides with a
Yep.
nice round number like 56.
Yep. And
And
look what we got.
look what we hit there, 56, right on the kisser on March 5th. Keep an eye on that level. I
Big
mean,
number.
it's got the momentum going. If if you're looking for any kind of strategy on this, and you want to short it like I do, if it pops above 56, and it starts to run, you have to let it go. But this could be one of those scenarios where you get up to like 56.09 or 56.10 or something, and then you come back down through it. So 56, huge level in eBay, and as we're talking, it's ticking down away from that level.
Tesla TSLA is absolutely flying here this morning.
Did they sell a car?
I think
Did
they sold
actually sell one of their
4,750 units of their Model S sales. So the Model S, their Model S sales are exceeding the target by a couple hundred or 250 units. So really getting a pop on this. They're expected to swing to profitability here overall too. So good news for Tesla shareholders here this morning. And wow, what a lift! Look at that pre-market chart. I think rocket ship.
This is an interesting chart here. First, let's take note of the pre-market high of getting over 42.50, getting to actually 42.55. But this stock, very recently IPO'd. You hit this $40 level, and you hit it a couple times. You hit 40 here, you hit 40 here.
Down.
Now this is a breakout. I mean, you can play it that way. I think it will come back and trade 40. I don't know about it today, but it's gonna be real good.
That could be a bet coming on 40 versus 45. I'm kind of bullish the stock with this huge breakout here on the 6
I'll do that
volume.
in a heartbeat. I'll do that in a heartbeat
So
right now.
I would definitely probably, if that pulled back to 40, I think that's not going to be a nice level of support, but I think the momentum can continue here. I think I might see 45, so I'll take you up on that. I'll take 45.
It's right at 42.50, so I don't have to hear you whine about me getting an edge or anything.
Yeah, I might do that on. The only thing it's offered at 42.50. So okay, I'll give it to you though. I'll take 45. You take 40. We'll see who makes out on this one here. Jot that one down in my book. GIS getting downgraded at Morgan Stanley. This stock here has been on a tear ever since Heinz got taken over. This GIS stock just cannot go down. It just continues to run, continues to run. You can see the move here in the last month and a half. It's up basically $8, $9, really basically 15-20% since Heinz got taken over. Obviously $50, absolutely enormous in the stock, but it's going to be down here today with the Morgan Stanley downgrade. It's trading down at 48.89. If you bring up the pre-market chart, you'll see that we are down about 40 cents here from the 4 o'clock Thursday close.
And who was that? Morgan Stanley that did that?
I like it. Yep.
Yeah, they must be taking a note of technical analysis out of my book or something here.
Fade the rocket ships.
Well, buy the bottom of the page and sell the top of the page.
Well,
We're almost at the top of the page here.
The top of the page
but let's take
higher.
a look. We're at an interesting level in this stock because 48.82 was Friday's low, and we are sitting right there right now. Hit it in the pre-market. 48.80 it ticked. I mean, if it doesn't hold that, it's definitely got some room to go on the downside. Kind of light volume though, 40, to be down 42 cents on only 2,000 shares, and this stock definitely trades a little bit of volume. So
yeah,
let's see what happens at this 48.80 level in General Mills.
And this is a stock that doesn't typically move like $1 or $2 in a day. It usually has a 40-50 cent range. So now you're down 50 cents already. Is it going to fall another 50 cents on this downgrade? It is Morgan Stanley. It has a potential to maybe, but I think you see 50, 60, 70 cent moves in this. That's usually what you get. So when you're selling something down 60, 70 cents on the day, I don't know if it's on a food stock. If it's really you may be selling the low of the day. So
yeah, you may be eating your lunch if you
can make the journal when they used to always post the lows and highs of the day. I hated always when I buy the high of the day and then you show up in the journal. It's like, oh, there's the high of the day. Oh, that was me. I bought the high. Microsoft, nice when you sell the high though. Microsoft, you want to talk about that? That stock has tried to break out of this level a million times, it feels like, 28.30. It finally did it on Friday. I don't know if it's the window dressing. They want to own Microsoft and not own Apple. I'm not sure. But this morning here, Microsoft is trading down a nickel, giving back 5 cents of that move. But definitely that 28.30 was a big number, and we cut through there, Joel. Has that become support now?
Well, I remember I kept on talking to you about it, and I'm like, oh, you're going to,
Buying the
buy when it
breakout.
breaks through
I
there?
tried a
And
couple
you're
times, and
like,
it
no,
just
I
shakes me
lost
out.
money the last
I
time I
know.
did it. And I'm like, well, how about the last 5 times you did it?
Last
Because
five
it
times.
hit that level, hit it right here, man, 4 times in a row, broke through on Friday on window dressing. I'm looking for this thing. I mean, going back, I think I've been talking, people are probably sick of me talking about this 29.01 high. That was back in November after earnings and things. So I don't see a lot between this 28.60 and 29, but who knows? It might take a month to get there the way Microsoft trades. And you got to figure too, if it comes back down to this 28.35 level, that's going to be excellent support. So you're shorting this thing early in the session, or you feel like you missed the long, get your bids out there at 28.40, 28.35. I think that's going to be good support in stock today.
You want to talk about a stock that has a major resistance level too, AT&T. This 37 bucks. Not even quite to there, about 36.85. It's found 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, even with if you could include Friday where it got to 36, I think 83. That whole 36.85 to 36.90 area, it's topped out here 4 or 5 times in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So AT&T forming some major resistance in the upper 36s here. Is pulling back just a few cents here this morning at 36.60, but that's major resistance.
Isn't that a little? I mean, stopping that far from the whole number, isn't that a lot of risk for the HFT guys that are
If they're
leaning? I mean,
leaning on 37.
Or is it just some big institution just saying, "Get me the hell out of AT&T. I don't care about 37 anymore. I'm coming down to a lower level," because that is it's amazing. I was looking at the numbers there, and I'm trying to figure out, 82, 84, 87, or whatever.
Yeah.
Usually when you get this close in the upper quadrant, on the
They
handle,
start pulling in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not doing that. So let's keep an eye on AT&T today, because unlike Verizon, Verizon has just been a rocket ship over the last couple of
Yeah,
days.
Verizon's
That should be
definitely had a little bit relative strength relative to the AT&T. Those two stocks tend to track very closely together here, but you're right, Verizon, although the Verizon's starting to form some resistance up there in the mid 49s too, 49.5, 49.40, 49.59, so it's trying to be give you a little bit of resistance and give you a number there too around that whole 49.50 area, which is a little bit below the 50 bucks, the big hole number in that. General Electric closes 23.10, 3 of them in a row right around the same area. What does this mean, Joel?
It just means it's probably pausing up for another rally up. Did dip 22.85 on Wednesday, and couldn't even get under 23 in Thursday's session. So let's keep an eye on that. As long as it holds this area, consolidates, you could perhaps go back up to that 23.50 area. Tried to fill the gap here, but it's not doing it. So like in 23 as support.
Well, you got that potential double bottom there too. 22.85 was the low on the 27th, and then if you swing back, Joel points it out there, 22.81 was low on the 25th of February. So you have 4 cents difference there, but there is that potential for the double bottom. So that would be my bogey if I'm going long this thing. Under 22.81, I think you probably got to cut it out, especially because there is that little gap below it. But until it cuts through there, maybe the bulls are still in charge. Overall market thoughts here before we close the show. Obviously, we closed at an all-time. Hey, there's your favorite chart. Yes, he always does that.
I only got
You had to get it in the show. You just had to get it in there, didn't you? Anyways, 15.62 and a quarter is where we're trading right now. We've been as high as 15.64, point under Kevin's 15.65 magic number. Can we take out that 15.64 today? Make Joel lose his bet against Kevin?
We are seeing a little bit red in some of the Big Ten, but I don't think that's gonna stop us. I think we're gonna go up and test that high 13.64.50. And looking at the numbers, if I'll post them on the site here in a little bit, it's really hard to to find resistance in this market since it basically has never traded at these levels. Coming back on the downside, I just want our traders to be aware of that the Globex low of 15.59 and a quarter. That does coincide with the real good swing number that I have in my special concoction for my numbers. So under 15.59 and a quarter, I think Kevin will just have to throw in the towel and realize the market's not going to 1565.
That's our show for today, guys. Great trading day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.